Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're all doing good and well. So for tonight's Saturday premiere, the first of 4 Saturday premieres I will be doing in January, I'm going to be reviewing the Netflix series Wednesday, starring Jenna Ortega as Wednesday Addams. And I'll also share some of my favourite moments and maybe some quotes as well from the series that I have just very recently finished watching. So this is a coming-of-age supernatural comedy horror based on, of course, Charles Addams' character Wednesday. It's almost like a little bit of a spin-off specifically for this particular character from the Addams family. So the Addams family, I guess you're likely to be familiar with the Addams family if you're of a certain age, but they were originally characters developed by a cartoonist called Charles Addams, and his characters over the years have appeared in these single panel cartoons, half of which roughly I think were published in the New Yorker magazine, and since have been developed and adapted into TV, film and musical as well. And so this is, I guess I'm familiar with the Addams family and Wednesday Addams through the 1990s films, particularly those two that were directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, which were the Addams Family and the Addams Family Values. And of course, in those films, Christina Ricci was Wednesday, and perhaps is the most well-known Wednesday, at least before Jenna Ortega, took on this role. So, for me, the big appeal of this series, having watched it now, is a really obvious thing to say, and I think it is Wednesday herself, the character and the portrayal of Wednesday by Jenna Ortega, that is very central for me to the success of this series. And as obvious as it is to say that, it really for me is what I think has driven a lot of the success and the hype of this series. The writing of Wednesday is brilliant, and there's some really great lines, and you find yourself through a lot of this series waiting for the Wednesday comebacks, that dark, sarcastic, sardonic, cutting sense of humour that Wednesday has, and the way she interacts with the characters around her. And it's interesting, it's one of the things I would say, that she is so much the sort of at the centre of events in this series, that at times other characters do fade somewhat into the background for me of this particular series, but not so there are still some really fantastic characters, not least I would say Thing, the hands and the personality the Thing gets in this series is fantastic. It's brilliant. It has its own personality, and there are a couple of moments I will mention later where I think Thing just absolutely shines. It's just brilliant in this. And also, Enid, portrayed by Emma Myers, I think the chemistry between her and Jenna Ortega, you can really see it here in the characters and their exchanges. I particularly like the first episode when they clearly are not a perfect match at first, but you can see how they bounce off each other and how that relationship grows as the series goes on. That's another real highlight for me, I thought, was the interactions of Wednesday and Enid were really great. So this series, it does boast pretty impressive cast. I mean, I've got to say, you've got here Larissa Weems, portrayed by Gwendoline Christie, who you may know from things like Game of Thrones, of course. Luis Guzman as Gomez, very famous actor. Catherine Zeta-Jones, here is Morticia Addams. And then, of course, Christina Ricci herself is in this series, playing Marilyn Thornhill. So a real stellar cast surrounding Wednesday herself. And it's interesting because, like I say, I still think despite that, what you're watching out for, what you're looking out for through lots of episodes of this series are those Wednesday moments, and so it should be, I think. It's this comedy about this character, driven by this character, so I guess you would expect that to a certain degree. But what I would say is that I think where maybe the series fell down a little bit for me at times, although the final episode for me it made more sense why they maybe did these little, plot developments here and there. But I felt the story itself often fell in the shadows of the character work for me. What I guess I kind of mean by that is that, the story, because the Wednesday character and, her interactions with others became, such a strong part of this series, you slightly tended to care a bit less about the odd story development with the monster or with the latest murder that had happened, or the latest development in the kind of the plot where Wednesday is kind of acting a bit like this detective. And at times, the way she was kind of investigating these murders, and with her kind of brutish way, her really kind of her sort of take no prisoners approach reminds me a lot of Saga Noreen from the Scandinavian crime series The Bridge a bit. I mean, totally different series and stuff, but I just got a little bit of that vibe with Wednesday in this series. So yeah, I think the story, though, I'm not gonna tear down the story, because actually, like I say, I thought the final episode, the twists were really good, and suddenly some of the story that had been built up to that point, I thought was more justified. So suddenly the previous episodes made more sense. Although I would say, episode 5, you reap what you woe. That one didn't really do it for me. Although that's nothing to say that it. To me, it felt like that episode was just kind of an episode just for an excuse to bring on Wednesday's parents, but it didn't feel like it was bringing a lot new to the table for the series. The story developments were kind of a bit, a bit light in that episode for me. I didn't really see it sort of strengthening the series, and I lost a little bit of interest in the series for that episode in particular. But I thought for episode 6, 7, and 8, it found, it got it back. And that's not to say I didn't like the performances of obviously Catherine Zeta-Jones and Louise Guzman. I thought they were good. It just felt like that one wasn't doing so much to develop the story that there is here, and it didn't feel, for me, as entertaining as a lot of the other episodes were for this particular series. So my final score for the Wednesday series on Netflix, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I thought, very entertaining, good to watch at the end of the day's work, I would say, to sort of cheer you up a bit. Lots of light entertainment, lots of really great Wednesday comebacks, Wednesday put downs. This is what you kind of watch. I think this is what I was watching the series mostly for, were those great put downs, and I think I've got a few here in my highlights here, and just really overall a really good series. Like I say, at times the story felt like a bit of a sideshow, that you found yourself not really caring so much about what was going on in the background. I also thought some of the characters were a little bit too dimensional. Maybe the male characters a bit, and they could have been worked on perhaps a little bit more. But Wednesday, Enid, fantastic, brilliant stuff. I thought they were written, and their chemistry, as I say, was really spot on for me. So let's go into my favourite moments without any more waffle. So first of all, from episode 1, which was called Wednesday's Child is Full of Woe. So this is Wednesday talking about Enid, and she said, "She's been smothering me with hospitality. I intend to return the favour in her sleep," which is very kind, typically Wednesday, and a classic kind of first early moment of Wednesdays in this series. Episode 2, Woe is the Loneliest Number, has my next... Oh no, I've missed another favourite moment from the first episode, which is when Thing is offended by Tyler referring to him as a pet, and he turns his middle finger up back at Tyler. I thought that was brilliant. Episode 2, Woe is the Loneliest Number. This is when Wednesday says, "I know," I think she's talking to Thing, "I know I'm stubborn, single-minded and obsessive, but these are all traits of great writers." And then Thing gestures a shooting gun, and Wednesday's forced to respond, "Yes, and serial killers" as well. That was a good one. Then in episode 3, Friend or Woe, I loved it when Wednesday is given her uniform of Pilgrim's World. She obviously thinks it looks like a little bit like a muzzle, and so she asks, "These for muzzling tourists?" I thought that was brilliant when she gets given that uniform. Episode 4, Woe What a Night. I mean, it's got to be the Goo Goo Muck dance for me that was the highlight and has gone completely viral on TikTok. Episode 5, You Reap What You Woe, which is probably my least favourite episode, as I say, but I did like how there was a conversion therapy for werewolves in this, when Enid's mum was trying to get her to sort of wolf out and stuff. I thought that was good. Episode 6, Quid Pro Woe. I liked it just when Wednesday said, "I don't bury hatchets, I sharpen them." Well, that was good as well. Episode 7, If You Don't Woe Me By Now, in response to Tyler actually showing, his feelings towards Wednesday. how she comes back and she said, actually, I will ignore you, stomp on your heart, and always put my interests first, or put my needs and interests first. I thought, you know what? At least she's being honest. She's being straight with him. And episode 8, A Murder of Woe, I think it was called, was just, this was the kind of the final conflict type episode where everything unravels and we see all the big revelations sort of happening with all the sort of characters in this episode. But Eugene's bees stole the show for me. Eugene's bees just made me laugh. And Eugene, actually, I was saying that some of the male characters, Eugene is a great character in this. So, I said some of the male characters were two-dimensional, but not Eugene. Eugene's great. I thought his character was really good in this. So that finishes my favourite moments. And I forgot to do I'll have to put a spoiler warning up in text before I was revealing those, because I guess there were some spoilers in there. So I will do a spoiler warning in text on the video when I put it up as a premiere on YouTube for you all to watch. So do let me know in the comments, what did you think of this series? How would you rate it, and what were your favourite moments or your favourite Wednesday quotes? I'm sure I've missed quite a few. These were just the ones I was noting down as I was watching the series. So do let me know. Otherwise, hope you've enjoyed tonight's premiere. Next Saturday is a big one. It is going to be the Dream Theater albums ranked video, which was voted for as the most, out of the 4 artists that I put up on the poll on YouTube over Christmas. That Dream Theater were the most popular choice. So we're doing Dream Theater first this month, and we'll do Dream Theater ranked next week, Saturday the 14th at the same time, 8 p.m. So I hope you join me there. Otherwise, from me, bye for now.